Mbazi, and this is on a ministerial statement that the Honorable Minister had rendered, that's on mining in the Lower Zambezi National Park.
Yes, when business resumes, we also expect the House to resolve into Committee of Supply to consider estimates of revenue and expenditure, including capital and constitutional and statutory expenditure, to consider 5 heads that are coming up for consideration today. These are Head 05, Electoral Commission of Zambia; Head 06, Civil Service Commission, Office of the President; Head 28, Emoluments Commission; Head 07, Office of the Auditor General; and Head 08, Cabinet Office, Office of the President. And so just to make mention that when business was suspended on Friday, on the floor of the House was Kanchiwia Member of Parliament, Mr. Sunday Chanda, who was debating Head 05, Electoral Commission of Zambia. And so when the House resolves into Committee of Supply, we expect him to continue with his debate.
Exactly. And earlier on, when business resumed, Madam Speaker did make 3 announcements and 3 rulings. We will give you the details of these at a later stage.
Yes, Taza, and just to make mention that we expect business of the House to resume any time from now. And once business of the House is resumed, we expect the House to consider 5 heads that are coming up for consideration, and
Bells are still ringing. There seems to be no quorum present in the House yet. And we do expect business to resume once a quorum is formed. It is a requirement that 1/3 of members of Parliament need to be present for any business to be transacted on the floor of the House. And so we do expect the House to resolve into Committee of Supply. This is for the consideration of estimates of revenue and expenditure, including capital and constitutional and statutory expenditure. And we do expect resumption of committee work. That's on Head 05. That was under consideration at the time committee work was interrupted on Friday. And other heads expected to be considered today include Head 06, Civil Service Commission, Office of the President; Head 28, Emoluments Commission.
we also expect the House to consider Head 07, Office of the Auditor General; and Head 08, Cabinet Office, Office of the President. And so bells are still ringing. There's no quorum in the House, and it is a requirement that 1/3 of members of Parliament must be present in the House for any business to transact. And so once the quorum is formed, we expect business of the House to resume.
Order, honorable members. When business was suspended, the House was considering a ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment, and the Honorable Minister had just finished answering a question on a point of clarification asked by the Honorable Member for Bwana Mukubwa. The clerk will now read the order of the day.
Estimates of revenue and expenditure, including capital and constitutional and statutory expenditure, Committee of Supply. Resumption of committee work.
The House will now resolve into committee.
When business was interrupted on Friday, 3rd November 2023, the Committee of Supply on the Estimates of Revenue and Expenditure for the year 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024 presented to the National Assembly in September 2023 was considering Head 05, Electoral Commission of Zambia, and Mr. Chanda, Member of Parliament for Kanchivia, had just started his debating. May Mr. Chanda continue?
Madam Speaker, Madam Chairperson, thank you so much for this opportunity to continue with our submission as a people of Kanchivia in supporting Head 05 of the budget, national budget. Madam Chairperson, we do understand that the Electoral Commission of Zambia is a cradle of our electoral democracy. And as a result, its credibility has a bearing on the quality of leadership, be it in the executive or in this august house. As a result, Madam Chairperson, it is very important that we pay particular attention to this particular head, and in supporting the allocation to this particular agency, Madam Chairperson, would want to place on record that delimitation in order for enhanced representation is critical. This is critical, Madam Chairperson, in the sense that when we bring our Kanchivia in the context of this debate, a vast constituency with 4 chiefdoms and very vast wards, it only becomes important that if development, if decentralization is to bring meaning to the common man, we have to ensure that the sizes of our constituencies, our wards, are delimited. Madam Speaker, I would wish to further commend and again call for vigorous continuous voter registration, because we understand that citizens of voting age must not be disenfranchised. We also know that the legitimacy of any government, Madam Speaker, and the true measure of our democracy lies in the potency of the ballot box. It is important, Madam Chairperson, that the Electoral Commission of Zambia also addresses itself to the existing gaps as they exist within the electoral and the legislative framework. In this regard, we expect that the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and through this particular allocation, will be able to speak to the gaps existing with the Electoral Process Act, the Electoral Code of Conduct, the ECZ's transparency and independence becomes critical. There are issues, Madam Chairperson, on the diaspora and prison voting. This must become true, especially as we progress in future elections. Because the fact that one is in the diaspora, the fact that one is incarcerated does not disenfranchise them from participating in the electoral process. Madam Chairperson, we also wish to humbly submit that the electoral process, as we know it, and as we have seen in this particular budget, would wish to again place on record that the reduction in the funds allocated to the ECZ needs introspection, would in fact call for more allocation towards this particular agency, for various reasons. That when we talk about election management, Madam Chairperson, we are talking about delineating 370 wards countrywide. We are talking about delineating 1,800 polling stations across the country. And we are talking about a continuous voter registration where 85% of eligible voters will be brought on the voters register. This is a tall order, Madam Chairperson, and so we wish to understand why there's been a reduction from the 2023 allocation of 199,342,774 to 188,655,163. Even when we speak to electoral planning and process management, Madam Chairperson, we see again a reduction from the 2023 of 110,553,056 to 76,867,900 kwacha. So these reductions, Madam Chairperson, would call for explanation, would want to understand what the implication of these reductions in terms of allocation would have on the electoral process and the electoral planning and process management. With those few remarks, Madam Chairperson, we wish to submit that we support this allocation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Zulu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chair, head number 5. It's a very important head for our democracy. And many of the times, Chair, the Electoral Commission of Zambia, for me on this one, I'm not supporting them in a sense that the money they have brought here, it's not solving out the problems we're having as a country. You may agree with me that last year when they brought their budget, there was some money to do the delimitation of 15 wards. I mean, 15, to start with the 15 constituencies in the country. That was never done. And today, Madam Chair, they are saying we're going to do a ward delimitation of 370, which I support, and over 1,000, about 1,800 new polling districts, which is good for democracy. Because some of the areas, Madam Chair, in wards like a constituency where I am, one of the wards like Luangwa ward, I can tell you, Madam Speaker, that, Madam Chair, that 40 to 50% of people don't go for voting. They only show up when maybe there is relief food like this time because hunger is hitting us in those areas. The reason is very simple. There is no one, Madam Speaker, who can walk 30 kilometers to a polling station in the area where there is no road network, the area where there is no communication, the area where you can't even ride a bicycle. But people are staying there. And these are the areas where ECZ needs to do more so that each and every person can choose the leader of their choice. Because what happens in these areas is that only ruling parties with their choppers go there, campaign, whatever votes they come from those areas, we don't even know if they're correct reflection of the people. So what we need to do is we need to open up, do voters education there, and make sure that we come up with a straightforward, a well-established polling district in those areas. Madam Chair, if you look at the allocation of 76.9 million for election planning and delimitation, for me, I still have a problem because if you look at the delimitation, they have just spoken about wards and polling district. Now, I want us to look at the constituencies which matter, which are so vast in this country. In my head, Chair, I've got Mulilunga constituency. I've got Kasempa constituency. I've got Nyimba constituency, the biggest constituency in Eastern Province, sitting close to 12,000 square kilometers. And some areas, small constituencies, a lesser number of people, but you've given them 3, 4 constituencies. Then you want the people of Nyimba to appreciate more on CDF allocation. That is depriving the people of Nyimba. The people of Nyimba today, Chair, they are saying they also need their constituents delimited in 2 or 3 constituencies so that each and every person can be happy and appreciate the goodness of the enhanced CDF allocation. Because how do you tell, how can people appreciate when the development is in Osaka, the next set of people are in Kawe, 150 kilometers in one constituency? And for us, the executive has seen this as normal. This is not normal, either from the Ministry of Justice, from the Ministry of the Vice President Office, the Electoral Commission of Zambia. This is not normal. So we need to change the narratives and see to it that constituencies are given enough resources, or the people are given enough resources by giving them good geographical areas where people are. If you look in Eastern Province today, we've got Shama district. Chama district with Nyimba district, the difference is only about less than 500 square kilometers. Chama has got 2 districts, has got 2 constituencies. You go to Petauke, which goes into Nyimba about 8 to 10 times, it's got 2 districts. If you go to areas like, I'll take my minister from Eastern Province, his constituency, because he's deprived to talk at now. His constituency is so vast. It's the second to Nyimba. But if you look at it, do you think this minister, even if he's a minister, is going to make it to go around these areas or taking development to the people who deserve this development? It's impossible because the constituency is vast. So coming here, members of the executive, with your ECZ, see to it that you start looking at those constituencies and let's share the cake of this country equitably. There is no one who is important more than the people of Nyimba. Other constituencies are not so important than Nyimba. Madam Speaker, today I'm sitting here as a member of parliament. I never campaigned in 7 polling stations. I never reached to those areas because they're unreachable. Only government with their choppers went there. I won because people knew that I used to support them. As an independent member of parliament, I never reached those areas. And today, this year, Madam Vice President, we don't have a solution up to date to those areas. Let people appreciate. I hope that UPND, they'll go out of government in 20 whatever, and people appreciate them that they did a rightful thing. And that rightful thing, let's start it now. It doesn't need us parliamentarians to bring it. You executive and ECZ, we need this delimitation done as of like yesterday. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. On my list, I have Mr. Michelo, Mr. Ngandu, and Mr. Msanje, in that order. Mr. Michelo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for giving the people of Wengwa to debate the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Yeah, we know quite right in that this head at 5 is very important. And the mandate, we know it quite right that it's to organize and conduct elections in this country. And Madam Speaker, I just want from the onset, okay, to mention to this House and the entire country that I support this head. Yeah, it's on that the only thing which we have a challenge, Madam Speaker, Madam Chairperson, is on the issue of the constituencies. Just like what the previous speaker highlighted about, there are a number of constituencies which are very big, like Katombola. Katombola is very big, including Wengwa constituency itself. And if we can delimitate all those constituencies which are very big, which are very vast, I think we'll manage to take development in those areas. Then, Madam Speaker, the same Electoral Commission of Zambia, we just want to request Madam Vice President and the ECZ that please let us try by all means in the coming elections to conduct free and fair elections, unlike what used to happen in the previous years. You saw what happened in Sesheke, Madam Speaker. In Sesheke, it wasn't even an election. It was a bloodbath. It was a total war, where people from the opposition were badly beaten. And I was one of those people who were trying even to hide in the bush. It was extremely very bad. And we don't want to see this situation under the New Dawn government. All the mess which the PF made during the time when they were ruling from 2011 to 2021, it was extremely very bad. And we should also give democratic space when the time to start campaigning, to give the PF also the opposition. And the second largest opposition political party, PNU, we must give them chance when that time comes so that they can exercise their freedom. You don't want to see a situation where a UPND, you remember last time, how they suffered towards the general election, the last 3 months when the elections were opened. It was extremely very hard, and people were not allowed to campaign. The opposition political party leader, by then, the current Republican president, His Excellency.
Honorable member, there's an indication for a point of order. What is your point of order, Mr. Mungandu?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Standing Order 65, content, also the information that the people are assimilating, because our parliament, Madam Speaker, Madam Chairperson, is broadcasted live to the entire nation, should not only be factual, but also verifiable. Is the honorable member on the floor in order to cast aspersions on these honorable members here who have never been involved in any violence, in any obstruction of the electoral process? If only the cameras can zoom on these innocent faces I'm seeing here, where is he is referring as PF when we've never even slapped a fly or blocked anyone. Is he in order to continue on that trajectory when he knows that these faces, members of PF here, including Honorable Chavinga, who is here, has never been involved in any violence? I seek your serious ruling, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The fact that Mr. Michelo did not point at the PF members that are seated there, he referred to them as the previous government. He didn't point at the members that are here. He just said the previous government. So because of that, since he's got facts about what happened where he went for a by-election, I think he's in order, especially that he didn't point at the members in this house. We may continue.
Madam Vice Chairperson, thank you so much. Madam Chairperson, I never meant about the honorable colleagues, these who are seated. These are credible men. Yeah, it's those who've left the house immediately when we entered. Those who are very much involved. These are credible men who are seated in the house. Yes, these are rebranded, super rebranded, yes, yeah, PF. Madam Chairperson, we want to request the ECZ that when time comes for voter registration, please, we are asking that all the Zambian people from all the 10 provinces of this country must be given an opportunity to exercise their rights. It's not good to start again experiencing, the situation we experienced the time when the former PF government used to rule us, where some of the provinces were denied of voter registration. It was extremely very bad. And we don't want to go through that here again, and we want people to be registered so that they can exercise their freedoms here and their rights of voting. And Madam Speaker, I think you saw it for yourself. During the time when the PF was ruling and when UPND was still in the opposition, our Republican president, the current right now.
Mr. Michelo, please don't drag the presiding officer in your debate.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, what I just want to say, to highlight also, to talk to the Zambian people because they are listening there, is that please, we must not go back where we were hearing constituencies like Tulika, which was not even existing. And we don't want to see this in the general election, which is coming in 2026. We don't want to hear about another new Tulika village where people were getting thousands of votes. We don't want to hear that. And if you look at even the petition when we went to the court, the 14 days, we don't want to hear such situation. And we want to have also credible opposition political party, those who are not violent, because we just have to compete with ideas and to talk to the Zambian people what we have and what we want to go and what we want to go and bring to the people of Zambia. And this issue of trying also to divide the nation on the issue of tribalism, we must avoid it with all cost. Let us avoid it because Zambia is one, and all the 10 provinces of this country, we are one people. Tongas, Bembas, Nyanjas, and Lozis, whoever here in this country, we are one people. And let us not agitate this country to a level of tribalism whereby the Zambian people can end up being divided. Let us try by all means to unite this country. And whoever leader will happen to win, not the leaders who have been imposing themselves in the last 2 or 3 elections. They were just imposing themselves. When you go to court, they used to block the court process. 14 days has elapsed. And we don't want to experience that situation. Let us move together as a country, and even the new rebranded opposition political party under the leadership of Mao Sampa. We are requesting you that when time comes for you to start campaigning, but not now, this time around is time to work. Time to campaign is coming in 2026. And when people are not given when people are not given a permit to campaign, it is not a campaign period. But this time around, let us work together. Let us support one another. Let us support one another. And please bring ideas to the new Dawn government so that we move together as a country, not whereby people are on a daily basis just talking about tribalism. It is not taking us anywhere. Let us unite this country. Madam Speaker, with these few words, let me simply say thank you, and I support ED5. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Mungandu.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Madam Chairperson, I will begin by expressing my concern. If you look at the budget lines for ECZ, it's mostly to do with the personal remuneration and other operations to do with conducting of elections. I've not seen much to do with voter education. This is where the problem emanates. This is the source of leadership problems this country is facing ECZ. I know democracy in our context can be defined as the government for the illiterates by the illiterates, because the majority of the people who vote, they don't vote on the basis of the credibility of the candidate that is before them. This is the reason why I would like to repeat, Madam Speaker, we have individuals who, in an ordinary sense, they are not even supposed to see the doors of this chamber, sitting here. The only solution at the moment, we need to have a budget line, substantial budget line, to do with continuous voter education. Not voter education that starts few months before a general election. Madam Speaker, instead of having people flashing money in our constituencies, while we are here debating national matters, we are supposed to have ECZ educating the people on topics such as good leadership, qualities of a good leader. Who should the people vote for? People should be able to know the roles of a member of parliament through ECZ. Actually, all institutions that are involved in governance, particularly institutions which have the responsibility to ensure that leaders are elected, including parliament, should be working hand in hand. I know we have, Madam Speaker, we have our peers in these constituencies, but it is the duty of the Electoral Commission of Zambia to sensitize voters. I've checked here. If possible, bring a supplementary budget. Us here on the left, we are ready to pass it. You can bring even 40, 50 million ECZ, specifically to do with voter education. Madam Speaker, this is a very important point, and I'll spend much of my time on it. In other countries, before you even dream of becoming a member of parliament or a member of the People's Congress, they will check your background. What is it that you have done in that community? Do you uphold the values and ethics of that particular society? In our case, Zambia. Integrity test. Are you someone that they can trust? That you will not divide the country or you will not call for anarchy? The moment you just call to say, can we cause anarchy, you are automatically disqualified to hold any public office. But in our case, Madam Chairperson, all I need is to be corrupt, earn my money, go and buy all the women with chitenge. I'll be a member of parliament. But when you come here, you just sit 5 years, 5 solid years. This is a place where we should be giving alternatives, solutions. Not just sit. The only time you hear is when we are having our tea break there. No, give me milk or give me Coca-Cola. We should be able to argue here.
Mr. Mungandu, let's not debate ourselves. Let's not debate ourselves. You may continue.
Well noted, Chairperson. So, ECZ, I'm calling upon you. Please increase the budget for voter education. We shouldn't go out there to start educating our people. Madam Chairperson, I've challenged many others that have come here to this parliament spending less than 50,000 because we don't believe in buying the people. We believe in telling the people of Chama South the truth. When we say CDF is working, it's something that people have seen. It's not that we are praising the government. There are other areas that it's a fact that is working. It's something that is good. So, Madam Speaker, for me, ECZ, please, I want to repeat myself. We need more voter education programs. If anything, if you are not conducting elections, you should have a fully fledged voter education department, which should be everywhere on our community radio stations, national broadcaster, ZNBC, TV, explaining to the people so that they make a proper informed decision when electing leaders. There are people that can sacrifice their lives for the well-being of the citizens. Once we bring selfless leaders here, Honorable Member for Wengwa, we will not worry about dividing the country. It is only the failed leadership that divides the country. We love one another. We are one. We have intermarried. And we have to uphold our constitutional values and principles which call for the unity of this country. At the beginning is ECZ, because you are the people who usher us into these offices. So for me, in my final submission, ECZ, we expect a supplementary budget from you, which we are ready to approve to do with voter education and sensitization so that before 2026, no one will buy our people. Our people will know who a leader is, who stands for their well-being. Leaders should sacrifice and die a little and rejoice to see the people they are leading succeeding. Those are the leaders. If we see technocrats, we see professional bodies, Law Association of Zambia growing, law reports being developed. We see engineers growing. We see surveyors. We see lecturers prospering. Then as leaders, we should be able to rejoice. and that can only come through the electoral process. So with these few submissions, Madam Speaker, I'm confident that ECZ will bring a supplementary budget to do with the voter sensitization and education. I submit.
Thank you. Mr. Munsanje.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Chairperson, for giving the good people of Mbabara an opportunity to support Head 05, Electoral Commission of Zambia. Madam Chairperson, the Electoral Commission of Zambia plays an important function in the democratic dispensation of this country, in as far as conducting, through the function of conducting credible elections. As such, we need integrity, transparency, and accountability to ensure that we maintain our national values of democracy and constitutionalism. It is from such, Madam Speaker, that Zambia has continued to make excellent progress since the coming of the new Dawn government into office in taking forward this value with both the budgetary allocation and indeed the conduct of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, which has continued to improve and gaining public confidence. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I also wish to reiterate the call from the people of Mbabara for continuous voter registration in our wards, not only in the constituency or district, because this, I think, currently is happening only at the district level in Choma, but we wish to see the continuous voter registration decentralized to the constituency and inside the constituency to the various wards, the 12 wards that we have in the constituency. And we have concerns in areas such as Kachenje, Chazangwe, Sinarungo. These areas sometimes are neglected, but also the areas that are bordering other constituencies. We find ourselves, Madam Chairperson, having our people confused because during the census, the CSA, the census enumeration areas, count people from different districts. Some of our people from, for example, Sinarungu area are counted under Karomo district. And some of them under in Chazangwe are counted from Moses Central. And then we have some others who are counted under Namwara, for example, Hakaroba area. Yeah, so when it comes to the elections, these people vote in Mbabara. As such, we need to streamline how the census system is working to get people into other districts, and then these people belong to our constituency, which is in Choma district. So we need that streamlining to ensure that people, even during census and during voter registration, they are registered in the same area to reduce on confusion and ensure that people can identify themselves as members of Choma district, as members of Mbabara constituency, without this confusion. So this is an important point which ECZ must go and liaise with their friends at government statistics to ensure that we streamline this area. Madam Chairperson, the work on delimitation of constituencies is a very important area which our people in Mbabara continue to call. As we continue to call for Mbabara district, we also want to ensure that Mbabara district has got 2 constituencies. So we also support the delimitation of big constituencies such as Mbabara to be split so that we can serve our people better and the like. Madam Chairperson, I also want to talk on the issue of voter education to ensure that we continue to sensitize our people, especially working with civil society. I think ECZ needs to have a budget to support civil society who are able to reach some of the areas which ECZ may not reach, especially on the ground, in the wards and in the branches, where we would want to see everybody educated on the role and quality of MPs so that we can improve the quality in this house. Indeed, some of the quality in this house leaves much to desire. So we really need to change that. to bring about the correct quality in the House, and the integrity of the House will be uplifted. Madam Chairperson, let's continue on the trajectory of peaceful elections in this country. Therefore, district conflict resolution committees must exist, but they must also be given teeth to bite where we have erring candidates during elections. We saw in the past an abuse of the process where the then ruling party PF kept on summoning some of us as candidates to go and appear before the district conflict resolution almost on a daily basis, whilst their candidate was busy campaigning. That's an abuse of the district conflict resolution committee. We need to curb against such. The committees must have integrity and must only deal with the correct things, but they must also have teeth to bite when we have erring members who are doing the wrong things during the campaign, because we have seen certain issues that may not be correct. Madam Chairperson, as alluded by my friends, we have seen candidates bring pangas or vote with pangas in some elections. Such things must be discouraged and stopped. And we have seen, as soon as they have renounced their retirement and renounced the rented houses, the pangas are back. This is something which we don't want to see in this country, and we must not compromise. Madam Chairperson, we also need, we should talk about the issues of nomination fees, where a candidate has died or withdrawn. I think we saw that people were required to pay new nomination fees. This must be revised, Madam Chairperson, because the other people who have remained on the race, it's not their fault that one has died or somebody has withdrawn. Therefore, the whole process of paying new fees and the like must be reviewed to ensure that one only pays nomination fees once and not when they are called again for a rerun or something like that. Madam Chairperson, we support this budget, and we believe that ECZ has assembled a team that is equal to the task, which must be supported so that they can deliver on their mandate for credible elections and continue to garner public support. ECZ must work on curbing some of those malpractices, such as registration of children in some regions, which we saw last time. It was rampant in some areas, and that must be stopped to ensure that we only register eligible voters for the continued credibility and enjoyment of rights by citizens to cast their vote. With these remarks, Madam Chairperson, I thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, I would like to apologize that we can't take any more. 6 members have debated, and we still have about 4 heads to complete today. So I'll ask Honorable Vice President to wind up debate.
Madam Chairperson, I would like to thank the honorable members through you that have debated this head 05, Electoral Commission of Zambia. It is indeed gratifying for me to hear that there has been support from everybody that has debated. They have brought out a number of things, Madam Speaker, which I can just put together, that almost everybody has talked about delimitation of constituencies, that the constituencies are too big. Almost everybody that has debated has touched that. ECZ is aware, and I must repeat something that I said even last year. As ECZ, the work has been done when it comes to constituencies. Whether it is satisfactory to the people, I don't know. What is left on the delimitation of constituencies is action, and that will be from the executive. On the issue of, which has also come, on the wards and polling stations, I think when you go through in detail, if you go through, you will see that there is a kind of provision. It is something that squarely falls under the mandate of the Electoral Commission, because I've heard also this come out, that some wards are too big. On the criteria for delimitation of constituencies or wards, I think it is important to look at what are the two things. I think even last time I did that, but probably we need to look at which other criteria, because you will find that, I think I gave an example under Vice President's question time. You go to Mandevu, you will find that you have over 300-400 people that also need education, that also need health facilities, that also need. And then you go to Chama South. No, I think I'll use Nyimba because he had a point there, that you have 50,000 people scattered in a very huge piece of land, the geographical size. I think the combination of the two is what informs the decision of delimitation. So that also means the people that are supposed to be serviced are fewer, while the geographical part in Mandevu is more, but the people are more. In Nyimba, the people are fewer, but the land is vast. Maybe we should take some people from Mandevu. I'm just using it. Take them to Nyimba. Basically, this is what happens. Rural areas have vast areas, but the population is not as huge. Credibility of the institution, the credibility of the institution has also been insisted on. And yet, this ECZ, we agree, must move on the credibility and integrity, because it is the commissions that man elections that ensure that there is no turbulence even after elections. That means that we agree with many of the things that you have raised about the integrity, the manner of conducting elections. Strongly, Mr. Mungandu came up with the voter education. There is a line there, I think about 76 million. If you, again, look at that, they have catered for that in the budget. On page 50, if you want, you can check on page 50. You may see something there that we also cater for voter education to ensure that it is not just last minute cooking, that people don't even know the type of member they want to elect. So yes, we agree with that. It is there. They will work on some of these things that we have all talked about. So, honorable members, I know I can speak to each one of you, but I think generally I've tried to respond, putting together the points that were raised. Madam Chairperson, thank you.
Thank you. Head 05, Electoral Commission of Zambia, head total 188,655,163 kwacha. Any debate? Any objection? See none. I put the question. The question is that head 05, Electoral Commission of Zambia, head total 188,655,163 kwacha, stands part of the estimates. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it, and the question is resolved in the affirmative. Head 05, Electoral Commission of Zambia, head total 188,655,163 kwacha is ordered to be part of the estimates. We now move to head 06, Civil Service Commission, Office of the President. Head 06, Civil Service Commission, Office of the President. Her Honor the Vice President, policy statement.
Chairperson, I wish to present the budget policy statement for Head 06, Civil Service Commission. Brief background, the Civil Service Commission is established under Section 221 of the Constitution of Zambia and draws its mandate from the Service Commissions Act number 10 of 2016. The Commission is responsible for ensuring that appointments, confirmations, promotions, transfers, regradings, attachments, secondments, discipline, and separation of personnel in the civil service are done in accordance with the prescribed guidelines and procedures. Chairperson, the Commission's budget for 2024 is premised on Strategic Development Area number 4 of the 8th National Development Plan, which focuses on ensuring that there is an improved policy and governance environment. Overview of 2023 performance. Chairperson, the Commission was allocated a total of 14,991,553 kwacha and recorded a number of successes in line with the strategic plan as follows. 1. Civil service human resource management. The Commission established and inducted 25 human resource management committees in ministries as per revised national decentralization policy. 2. 996 officers were appointed into the civil service. 218 officers were confirmed. 561 officers were separated from the civil service. 1,235 officers were transferred due to various reasons, such as reuniting couples. 850 officers were promoted. Additionally, the Commission attached 35,247 civil servants whose functions have been devolved to the various city and town councils. Governance and standards. 1. Processed 103 disciplinary cases and 72 appeals, complaints in order to promote good conduct in the civil service. 2. Conducted 2 monitoring and evaluation activities in Copperbelt and Central Provinces to ensure adherence to the guidelines with regards to the processing of cases of the delegated functions. 3. The Commission revised the strategic plan and balanced the scorecard for the year 2022 to 2026. 4. Non-legislative documents such as the Human Resource Guidelines on Recruitment and Placement in the Civil Service were launched by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, on 30th June 2023. 2.3. Management and support services. 1. Procured computers, air conditioners, printers, and office furniture in order to enable smooth operation of the Commission. 2. Procured a 16-seater minibus in order to support monitoring and evaluation of delegated functions. 3. 2024 budget estimates. Chairperson, the 2024 budget will enable the Commission to undertake a number of strategic programs aimed at improving service delivery in the civil service in areas such as automation of human resource management processes, compliance and quality control, human resource management reforms, monitoring and evaluation, as well as standards, guidelines, and regulations. Chairperson, the Commission's functions will be performed through 3 key programs. 1. Civil service human resource management, which is responsible for implementing human resource management reforms, establishment of human resource management committees, and capacity building in the ministries, provinces, and government institutions to enable effective and efficient processing of delegated human resource functions. The program estimate is at 5,823,677 kwacha. 2. Governance and standards. This comprises 4 sub-programs with the critical role of ensuring compliance to the principles and values of human resource management as outlined in the Service Commissions Act, implementation of human resource policies, procedures and guidelines in the civil service, continuous sensitization on the launched non-legislative documents, terms and conditions of service, disciplinary code and grievance handling procedures, automation of its work processes, and monitoring and evaluation activities. The program estimate is at 5,173,898 kwacha. 3. Management and support services. This involves the undertaking of timely and effective provision of management and administration of support services to ensure smooth operations of the Commission. The program estimate is 10,876,828 kwacha. In summary, the Commission operational budget estimates for 2024 amount to 21,874,403 kwacha. Chairperson, the budget, in conclusion, the budget estimates and the proposed programs will greatly contribute to the attainment of a good governance environment. I therefore urge the August House to approve the 2024 estimates of expenditure for the Commission as presented. Chairperson, I thank you.
Any further debate? Mr. Nyambosi?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. I want to state that I support the budget for the Civil Service Commission, especially that there is substantial amounts that have been set aside, especially in the area of monitoring and evaluation. Why do I say so, Madam Chairperson? I want to thank government for undertaking the devolved functions. 25 institutions. So far, they have created the Human Resource Management Committees. You will note that, Madam Chairperson, that this is not an easy thing to have been undertaken. From 2013 or 2002, when decentralization was mooted, government then was dragging its feet. But this new dawn has ensured that 25 institutions, so far they have created human resource management committees. The expectation, Madam Chairperson, is that this commission which is there should not sit in Lusaka. The functions that were being undertaken by the Commission have now been devolved to the district human resource management committees, meaning that the committee, the Civil Service Commission should undertake monitoring programs to ensure compliance to standards. We will note, Madam Chairperson, that majority of our members, some of them, our workers, are working without confirmation for a long period of time. Some of them, they have retired. At the time of retirement, that is when they are being confirmed, or they are being deemed to have been confirmed at that time. So, the government position to devolve the functions of the Civil Service Commission to the districts and spending agencies is a commendable thing. But are these agencies which have been devolved the functions with doing the correct thing? You find that they are even falling short. So the commission, this amount of 46.6 million, 4.6 million, part of it is for monitoring, to enable our able commission visit these spending agencies to ensure that there is compliance. So I support this budget, Madam Chairperson. But you will note that for us to ensure that this devolution succeeds, we extend from the 25 institutions so far who have been given the mandate to deal with those issues. We should ensure that monitoring is enhanced. I've worked in the Civil Service Commission. This is a commendable amount that you have given to the Commission to ensure that they run their affairs. If there will be need for even supplementary, I'll be the first one, because I know what it means. Many times, when people are employed, they don't understand their roles. So it is the Commission to go around to ensure that those human resource officers whom this government is employing, the civil servants, are oriented on the principles of public service. You will note that across the civil service, Madam Chairperson, many of our workers do not understand. Those days when we were employed ourselves, once you are employed, I worked for the council, but just to give an example, you are taken for 6 months to Charimbana Law Government Training Institute to be oriented, even when you have your degree. So it means that the Civil Service Commission should also develop a culture of a program of inducting the recruited employees. Look at the numbers that are being recruited by this government. But the productivity will not yield the results that this government desires if they are not well looked after by the Commission. So this Civil Service Commission is doing a commendable job by ensuring that the civil service are well oriented. But this can be done with an enhanced budget like this one. So, this budget is a good budget for them, but they need more to be done. They don't need to be in Lusaka. They need to go around. Some of the ministries, I don't want to mention. When you visit some of the ministries, you find these workers are only active when funding is released. When funding is released, you see full capacity, all the offices, because it's funding. Some of the ethics in the public service, which this commission should need to monitor, is the work ethics, the dress code. Way back, Madam Chairperson, when you are a civil servant, even by the way you dress, here we are in Parliament, I cannot dress anyhow. But go to these ministries, you find civil servants on a Monday dressed in Manchester jersey. It's not a field work. So we are losing it as a country unless this Civil Service Commission is empowered with resources to monitor and ensure they inculcate the public service norms. So I support the budget wholeheartedly, and I want to see a civil service that is going to change the culture of the public service. So that when the president of this Republic of Zambia is recruiting using his government, they are recruiting, we are able to see the change and the productivity and a well-cultured civil service. When I was in the unions, Madam Chairperson, I was privileged to visit so many countries, one of them Japan. When you see the civil service in developed countries, you are able to tell this one is a public worker. But nowadays, when you come, you don't even know. Some of our workers, Madam Chairperson, when they get paid, they don't even appreciate the favor that the government is able to recruit these numbers. They don't pay back. When they get paid, 1 week they don't report for work. Who monitors who? So we should ensure that all these efforts by the government are yielding the results that we desire by improving productivity and the standards of the civil service. There must be a difference between a farmer and a civil servant. When you enter some of the offices, you do not think that is also a client, but that is an officer serving you. So the Civil Service Commission should up their game with this budget to ensure that the norms and the standards of the public service are adhered to. With these remarks, I support this budget, Madam Chairperson. Thank you.
Ms. Sabao.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing the voice of Chikalkata to add a voice on this very important head, Civil Service Commission. Madam Chairperson, this institution is a very important institution in this country. This is an institution that recruits, deploys, promote, transfer the human resource that is in charge of implementing the projects under this budget, the whole budget of this country. Hence, it's very important that we have the right people in place to implement our government projects for us to see development in this country. Coming from this background, Madam Speaker, I'll put forward some few remarks. The first one would be, it's very important for us to depoliticize the Civil Service Commission. Madam Speaker, when you go to some of these institutions, you find that our people, they have a political lens. With the coming of the Electoral syndrome, most of the projects have suffered because we have people, even if they are in government, they still feel like someone will come back. Why? Because the way they were employed, there was a political lens in their employment. Some, they are not qualified. Some, it was because they had connection with some people. Some, they campaigned for some individuals. Hence, making our lives difficult. One of the institutions that have suffered with this is local government in the implementation of CDF. I hear most of our members complaining on how the implementation of CDF was slow in their councils. Why? Because we have people with the political lens, depending on where they are coming from. So it is the role of the Civil Service Commission to make sure that they depoliticize the civil service, because the civil service, they are very important people in the development of our country. Because when government puts money in projects, they are not looking at the current generation. We are also considering the future generation of this country. Because if we construct a school today, it's not just for today. We are also looking at even those who come 50 years after us. Hence, we need to have the right people in the right places, Madam Chairperson. The other point, I support the 93 increment in human resource. Madam Speaker, this will help the institution to do the monitoring and evaluation of the projects across the country for them to operate effectively. They need to have enough resources. And the other area, Madam Speaker, Madam Chairperson, it's also important that we use technology. As we are talking, Madam Speaker, I sit in the Public Accounts Committee. When you look at the Auditor General's report, most of the resources have been spent on ghost workers. Why? Because we don't have the correct technology that is able to determine that this person died, this person left employment some years back. Because we have people who are there for their own interest. They are able to connive within themselves, paying ghost workers, and they are the beneficiaries of public resources. Hence, it's very important that we put more money in this area so that our people are able to improve on the technology. The other point, Madam Speaker, is also the issue of ICT. Madam Speaker, Zambia is part of the global village where the world has gone technological. This will help us to, in the recruitment, we have, when they advertise for a job, the job will say we need degree holders, we need certificate holders. But because we don't have the correct ICT, we are able to employ even those people who are not qualified. But if we have the right technology in place, it means that when you enter the name in the system, it will be able to say, this person does not qualify, this person qualifies. Hence, it's very important that under the new Dawn government, we help the Civil Service Commission to have enough resources for them to go around the country, for them to have the right technology, so that it will help in their day-to-day activities. Madam Speaker, like in Chikankata, Chikankata is a rural constituency. It needs the right people for it to be called a district. It was declared a district in 2013. But if you go through Chikankata, nothing will show you that this is a district, because we don't have the infrastructure that will give a picture of a district. But when we have the right civil service in place, they will be able to help to plan, because these are the people who are supposed to plan. From my understanding, it's the civil service who should identify the needs of a district. And this can only happen when we have the right people in place. But at the moment, Madam Chairperson, we have the civil service who are thinking in the future, praying very hard that someone should come back so that they can continue with those habits that they had of spending public resources in wrong places. But under the new Dawn government, I'm saying that let's help this institution so that we can improve the development of this country by having the right people in the right places to implement the projects and programs that we are approving using this budget. I submit, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you. Dr. Chirufya.
Madam Chairperson, I thank you very much for this privilege to debate the Civil Service Commission head. Madam Speaker, the Civil Service Commission was created through an act of parliament with delegated powers to manage human resource in government. Human resource is arguably the most important resource in any dispensation, and it's therefore imperative that human capital is managed optimally for us to even feed into government's agenda to unlock economic potential in line with this year's budget theme. Madam Speaker, as I support the budget for this head, I have some concerns. The first one, Madam Speaker, is the Civil Service Commission must own up and address the issue of holding positions. How many directors today are at home and drawing salaries in the name of holding positions? Madam Speaker, Madam Chairperson, this number is increasing. We're at 76, we're close to 200. Madam Speaker, drawing salaries and staying at home is not different from plundering of resources. That's not prudent management of resources. If we are living in an era of fiscal consolidation, there's no reason you should be paying people for not working. Why would you promote people to positions where they're existing directors and they're just at home? Madam Speaker, it's our inescapable imperative to stem capital flight through these directors who are at home in the name of holding positions. Secondly, Madam Speaker, Madam Chairperson, we need to depoliticize the civil service. There are civil servants who are highly technical, trained at great expense using government resources, and they are perceived through a political lens. Oftentimes, we lose institutional memory because everybody is perceived through a political lens. Madam Speaker, we need a highly professional civil service, and they need to have security of tenure. Sometimes service delivery suffers because we push aside people who are highly technical, professional, in the name of politics. We need to reset our democracy and ensure that the civil service is depoliticized. Madam Chairperson, as I conclude, I urge the Civil Service Commission to dispense its responsibilities optimally in order to support government's aspiration for economic development. Human capital is fundamental to improve our productivity. If we mismanage human capital in any sector through our Secretariat PSMD and just push people at home through PSMD, we are going to deplete our resources. Our treasury will not be able to pay salaries, yet there are people drawing salaries without adding any work in any month. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I support this head.
Thank you. The last member, Ms. Arwindi, under 5 minutes.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to add a voice on Head 6 on Civil Service Commission. Madam Chairperson, on the onset, I want to say I support the budget line for this head. More importantly, that for the first time, there's an allocation on a monitoring and evaluation. Indeed, this is a very important component because as we have heard, my colleagues have debated, honorable members who have debated earlier, they have mentioned that human capital is very important in any service delivery. Without discipline, without positive mind, without hard working, there's no way a country can see any service delivery. Our president have intimated that we need to make sure that we see timely delivery of projects, quality for money, and timely delivery. For us to make sure that we attain this, we need to make sure that the monitoring and evaluation is enhanced. And I'm happy that there's a budget line this time. I only hope that there's also going to see that qualified personnel are going to be employed who will be making sure that they do the monitoring and evaluation. Madam Chairperson, from the previous experience, what we see in the public service is that going even for the mandate of the Public Service Commission is on confirmation. You find people who are ghost workers are confirmed. Where is the Civil Service Commission? 2 years, somebody is getting a salary, but is not in employment, is not working. Where is the Civil Service Commission? Somebody is promoted or no qualification. People with qualifications are left behind. Where is the commission? What is the commission doing? It's because the monitoring and evaluation component was missing, and people are qualified to monitor what these people are doing. So we want to, this time to make sure that we have a cadre of civil servants that are going to prioritize effective and efficient delivery of services to the Zambian people. Madam Chairperson, I want also to make sure that this time that we have this component of monitoring and evaluation, they should come up with a system of monitoring the way public service and the civil servants are working. Because we can take a leaf from the mines the way they are doing it in Balsko, in Rumwana, Karumbira. You find that if there is a task that is given, they are being monitored. How much time is the paper or letter going to be in this office? If somebody is not doing the duties, there is a red flag. What is happening? We have not received this letter. But what you are seeing now in Zambia, find one letter, 6 months, somebody is not acting as sat on that letter. So we need to make sure that we improve the way we do the work. Through the evaluation and monitoring, that we also devise a system where we'll be monitoring what our workers are doing in these offices, so that we make sure that we improve our country economically. If we do these things, we are going to make sure that we are going to see development in this country. I cannot say much than this, but just say thank you. This component is very important, and it's going to see to make sure that our country develops once we make sure we have the right people who are qualified to monitor what our civil service is doing. So the Commission has got a duty to make sure they drive this agenda. Madam Chairperson, thank you so much.
Thank you. Her Honor, the Vice President, wind up debate.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. And I would like to thank the honorable members, Mr. Nyambose, Mr. Bao, and Ms. Halwindi, who have debated. And thank you for supporting this head 6, the Civil Service Commission. I always like to listen to Mr. Nyambose with the experience in the commission, because I think sometimes we think the commission is the actual workers, the ones who go and supervise the civil servant. But indeed, the issues of orientation becomes theirs. And I like the fact that they have a delegated responsibility. Actually, they work on behalf of the president. The commissions work on behalf of the president. And the ministries are the actual supervisors on the spot of the individual workers. The commission, that's why you see it's small. They cannot, but they can have programs of orienting them. Because at the end of the day, they also act like, like umpires. When there are issues of discipline, when there are issues of promotion, it will go to them. They are the ones who append the final, signature to the promotions and all these mandates that fall under their mandate. But at the end of the day, I totally appreciate on behalf of the Civil Service Commission for the support you have given, and indeed to note also from Mr. Nyambose that the budget has improved. Everybody would want a little bit more than what is given to the Commission, but this is a good improvement for this Commission so that they can as they decentralize or devolve the work, then they need to monitor, like all the three that have debated, madam, have talked about the importance of monitoring. So the resources that they have should be able to help them do the orientation work so that our workers are not seen like retired farmers. They look like people that are really ready to work. I know that you see that they do work to implement actually the constitutional provisions on our principles and values in the different ministries and going down into the provinces. So I appreciate. Even Dr. Chilufya did debate, is the one who brought out the delegated responsibility that they have. The holding position, I think we have listened that it is costly for people to hold positions and they are getting paid. And then we have another combination from Mr. Halwindi that others actually, the commission does not know about them, but they are on salary, they are called ghost workers. I think that we are listening as a commission. We should be able to do better. With a little more resource, we should ensure that is done. Holding positions, if a person is not capable, why do we hold them and pay them? I don't understand that little bit. But the concern is understood from the honorable member. One thing I hear also is depoliticizing the commission. That is very, very important. I think from everybody that has debated, they have touched the issue of depoliticize. Don't employ a cadre because it's a cadre who is not qualified. Let everybody holding a position be a person that is qualified for that position and also who will continue to work irrespective, because this is civil service, it's permanent. And you cannot have people that work like politicians, like Mr. Mungandu, who can come and go. But these are permanent workers and they must remain there. So they must be properly oriented. They must work properly without looking through political eyes, either through employment or through the work culture. So that is very, very important. I think that these are some of the things that have come out today. Some of them are not easy, but indeed human capital is critical for any development anywhere. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you so much. Head 06, Civil Service Commission, Office of the President, head total 21,874,403 kwacha. Any debate? Any objection? I see none. I put the question. The question is that head 06, Civil Service Commission, Office of the President, head total 21,874,403 kwacha stands part of the estimates. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Head 06, Civil Service Commission, Office of the President, head total 21,874,403 kwacha is ordered to stand part of the estimates. We make progress. We now move to head 28, Emoluments Commission. Head 28, Emolument Commission, Her Honor the Vice President, Policy Statement.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I wish to thank you for according me the opportunity to present the 2024 budget estimates of expenditure for the Emoluments Commission. The mandate, Chairperson, Article 232 of the Constitution of Zambia establishes the Emoluments Commission to determine the emoluments of a public officer, chief or member of the House of Chiefs on the recommendation of a relevant authority or commission. The Emoluments Commission has also been given power under Article 264 to determine the emoluments of a state officer, councillor, constitution office holder, and a judge as prescribed. The Emoluments Commission Act Number 1 of 2022 gives effect to the above constitutional provisions by setting out a broad framework that seeks to introduce and entrench rationality, harmony, and equity in the determination of emoluments in state organs and state institutions. The Commission is an independent institution that develops and implements a comprehensive and rational public service pay policy in the public sector in order to stimulate greater productivity and performance gains for a competitive, efficient, and effective public sector that ultimately leads to sustainable economic development. Chairperson, the creation of the Emoluments Commission acknowledges the fact that salaries, benefits, and job classifications within government bodies and state institutions exhibit significant inconsistencies, discrepancies, substantial imbalances, and differences in terms of pay, job quality, and working conditions. In various instances, remuneration fails to accurately represent the level of duties, effectiveness, output, fairness, equity, financial feasibility, and long-term viability. Government is cognizant of the reality that adequate and fair pay is a key component in improving and sustaining the motivation, performance, and integrity of the public service. Therefore, the determination of adequate pay requires an objective, systematic, methodical, and consistent approach that takes into account the economic, political, and social realities, which ultimately ensures that there is a linkage between pay, productivity, and performance. Chairperson, the Emoluments Commission has been in operation following the publication of the commencement order through Gazette number 1042 on 6th July 2022 and the subsequent appointment of the chairperson and members of the commission in November 2022. Prior to the operationalization of the commission, government had endeavored to address the issue of pay and incentives challenges in the public service, but efforts put in place could not yield the expected results due to an ad hoc and piecemeal approach undertaken in this regard. Additionally, there was no legal framework to govern the systematic determination of emoluments in the public service, which resulted in distortions and disparities in salary structures. Consequently, this led to demotivation and attrition through resignation and desertion, thereby affecting performance, productivity, and service delivery. The operationalization of the Emoluments Commission, therefore, is aimed at enhancing the capacity of state organs and state institutions to attract, retain, and adequately motivate human resource with the requisite skills and experience for improved service delivery for less time, less risk, and less cost, resulting in greater policy impact, more citizen satisfaction, and empowerment. Chairperson, Section 15 of the Emoluments Commission Act Number 1 of 2022 outlines 5 mandatory principles that shall guide the Commission in its determination of emoluments as follows. 1. Retention of officers and staff in a state organ and state institution with requisite qualifications and skills for improved service delivery. 2. Efficient performance in a state organ or state institution. 3. The need for emoluments that reflect the level of responsibility of a chief or an officer in a state organ or state institution. 4, enhancement and maintenance of macroeconomic stability in the country, and 5, affordability and sustainability. Review of the 2023 budget performance chairperson. During the year under review, the Emoluments Commission was allocated 31,275,510 kwacha. The Emoluments Commission, whose functions are aligned to the 8th National Development Plan as an enabler under 2 pillars, namely Pillar 1, economic transformation and job creation, as well as Pillar 4, good governance environment, implemented the following programs during the period under review. 1, job evaluation and regrading in 7 institutions. 2, harmonization and the rationalization of salaries and conditions of service in 50 state institutions. 3, development of the public sector integrated emoluments determination framework. 4, revision and formulation of the public sector pay policy. 5, development of the manuals for rationalization and harmonization and job evaluation and regrading. 6, processed 116 cases related to emoluments determination in state organs and state institutions. 7, development of the strategic plan, and 8, monitoring and evaluation of adherence to the public service pay policy in 25 institutions. Strategic focus chairperson. In line with the strategic focus of the government and the Vision 2030, the Emoluments Commission will, in 2024, embark on various strategic programs targeted at 1, a clean wage bill in state organs and state institutions is attained and maintained. 2, linking pay to performance and productivity in state organs and state institutions for improved service delivery. 3, ensuring equity, fairness, transparency, and accountability in emolument determination and management. 4, undertaking job evaluation in some state organs and state institutions. 6, formulating the public sector pay policy to give guidance on emoluments determination, and 7, automation of the information management. Madam Chairperson, 2024 budget. Being a greenfield institution with a wide scope of responsibilities as provided for in the Emoluments Commission Act number 1 of 2022, the annual provision for the Emoluments Commission is 31,619,434. The allocation will be utilized to implement 2 key priority programs, namely remuneration management and 2, management and support services. The resources will support the portfolio functions of the Emoluments Commission, as well as tasks and operations that shall include determination and rationalization and harmonization of salaries and conditions of service, job evaluation and regrading, emoluments research and forecasting, monitoring and evaluation of the implementation of the public sector pay policy, policy planning, benchmark of best practices in emoluments management, development of mechanism of linking pay to performance and productivity. Good. Chairperson, the Commission will endeavor to continue to enhance the capacity of state organs and state institutions to attract, retain, and adequately motivate human resources with requisite skills and experience for improved service delivery for less time, less risk, less cost, resulting in greater policy impact, more citizens' satisfaction and empowerment. Madam Chairperson, I now seek your support and the support of the entire House for the Emoluments Commission. Thank you.
Any further debate? Mr. Nyambosi.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, once again for the opportunity, and I would like to appreciate the Vice President for the presentation. Madam Chairperson, I stand not to support the budget of the Emoluments Commission. This country is a signatory and has signed the ILO Convention that allows free bargaining. Convention number 98 of ILO Convention gives leverage to employees to determine and engage their employers depending on the economic situation within that sector. They are able to engage and bargain for what is befitting them. This Emoluments Commission is the animal that is taking away the rights of the workers. And I do not think that I supported it when it was coming. And thereby, this, even our own Parliamentary Service Commission, is affected by this. Each sector, each institution should have its own right. So this one is against the ILO Convention, and this one is killing the labor movement. We need a vibrant trade union that is going to showcase their skills in bargaining with their employer. If this commission is allowed, it will affect the productivity, it will affect employment. Just recently, our labor minister was dealing with the minimum wage for this, the domestic workers. I commend you, Madam Minister, and the rest. This is what is supposed to be. But with this commission, which is cutting across, it is actually against the rights of the workers. The workers, whether in the mining, with the challenges in the mining, they should be able to put up their own case to justify why they in the mining sector, they need this. They don't need the commission, the Emoluments Commission. If you are in the local government sector, you are able to tell with the local government equalization fund, how much do we increase? And the minister responsible and the commission and the local government, they are able to look at what they can give as a percentage. It is not be one size fits all. Members, it shouldn't be like that. Yeah. Each institution, I run a company. I don't need to be determined. I'm able, as long as the Minister of Labor is able to come and say, in this sector, this is what you are supposed to pay, depending on the economic activity and the profits that I make. This Emoluments Commission is going to affect each and every sector and productivity. We don't need to wait for them to determine what we need. Each sector is different, and we are affected differently. So I do not support this budget, Madam Chairperson. This is a wrong commission that we put in place. We need to allow free bargaining under Convention number 98, the rights of the worker. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tayachalo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for according me this opportunity to debate this Head 28, that is Emoluments Commission. First and foremost, I also want to state that I don't support the budget for this Emoluments Commission, and I totally support my brother, Honorable Nyambose, that this particular commission is taking away the right of trade unions. It is a fact that Zambia is a signatory to the ILO Convention 98, free collective bargaining. Now, we have been interacting with trade union leaders who have been complaining that even for the Emoluments Commission to clear a collective agreement, it is taking too long. And Madam Chairperson, if we are not careful, this Emoluments Commission is going to lead to industrial actions in this country, because there is no way Emoluments Commission should be determining conditions of service for the workers. I believe that this Emoluments Commission was meant to regulate conditions of service for senior government officials permanent secretaries, and chief executive directors in parastate organizations, not where trade unions are subjected to emolument commission. Madam Chairperson, the Industrial and Labor Relations Act is very, very clear. It's very clear that once the trade unions begin, the collective agreements are supposed to be registered by the Labor Commissioner, and the Minister of Labor is supposed to approve those collective agreements. It means that we are even taking away the powers of the Minister of Labor and Social Security. So to me, I believe that there is a problem there where we have not yet amended the Industrial Relations Act because the collective agreement are supposed to be deposited at the Ministry of Labor for approval. Madam Chairperson, we have got three wings of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. I believe that even judges, I think, are opposed to this because they have got a judicial service commission, which is supposed to determine their conditions of service. Similarly, the legislature is one of the third arms of government. Surely, can the legislature be subordinate to emolument commission when we are the people who approve the budgets for the emolument commission, and there is no way ourselves again should be subjected to emolument commission. So I believe that I think there's need that the minister should come to this August House and repeal it so that the National Assembly, the legislature, is able to determine its own conditions of service.
Order, honorable member. As the time now is 1840 hours, I interrupt the proceedings and committee work stands adjourned. The Committee of Supply will report progress and ask leave to sit again.
It actually affects the separation of powers, the doctrine. If there are institutions that undermine the separation.
Madam Speaker, I have to report to the House that the Committee of Supply on the Estimates of Revenue and Expenditure for the year 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024 has gone through the following heads: Head 05 and Head 06, and has made progress and asked leave to sit again.
Day for resumption of committee work. Tomorrow, Madam Speaker. Committee work.